Alright guys, what's up? It's Shadow Ninja here. Welcome back to Ragequit, and thank you for tuning in for this spoiler-free The Last of Us 2 story discussion. Now, I was going to do a regular review covering everything about the game, not just the story, but the gameplay, you know, the graphics, you know, all that normal stuff that I usually do. But I think it goes without saying that this game is a pretty solid game on a mechanical standpoint, where I mean, not a whole lot has changed from the first game, but there are definitely some elements that were put into this game, newer ones, and it feels seamless, to be honest. Like, the gameplay was really fun. The stealth aspects, the combat aspects, the hand-to-hand combat stuff that you do, the collectibles and stuff, all of it was really cool, and none of it felt tedious. This is a game that I am definitely going to go back and get all the collectibles, and I'm going to try to plat the game, because I actually genuinely enjoyed the game. I know that there was a bunch of controversy surrounding this game prior to its release because of the leaks that were revealed, and that kind of put a damper on the hype for The Last of Us 2, but I just want you guys to know that I kind of stayed away from all the leaks. I may have heard maybe one or two things from word to mouth, and I mean, it didn't let it bother me too much, because what I was told was what I was going to be expecting from the game. But I finished the game. I finished through The Last of Us 2, and I really liked it. You know, it was a very different type of story from the last game, obviously. I was pretty hyped to play it once it came out, and like I said, I completely ignored all the leaks and all that stuff. So I was surprised through most of the game, and I gotta say, this fucking thing is tragic, man. Holy shit, this game does not have a happy ending. It subverted my expectations in many ways, and none of the outcomes of things that happened really pissed me off, kind of like opposite of what The Last Jedi did. The story kind of reminds me of The Walking Dead a little bit. It's not like Uncharted, where everything works out in the end with little to no casualties and everything's gonna be okay. Like, everything's pretty realistic. Story-wise, it captures human nature in this apocalyptic time pretty well. It almost felt too real at times, and I often found myself wincing at the amount of gore and violent shit that Naughty Dog put into this. So I'm definitely gonna give Naughty Dog's props for the graphics in the gore detail and stuff, because everything looked, like, really real, and it was uncomfortable to watch sometimes, and that's what they were going for. Everything looked great. Scenery was gorgeous, like I said before. Character models were very good looking. Facial animations and all that fun stuff was on point, and it didn't feel like Mass Effect Andromeda or any type of game that really messes up the facial animations and stuff. It actually looked like the characters were feeling what they looked like, and I appreciate that a lot. That's not an easy thing to do. And like I said, scenery was good, character models were great, facial animations, all that fun stuff was on point, and that's why I think the story was so good, in my opinion. Regardless of what you think, the characters, you can't deny, looked so lifelike. Like, and them showing the emotion with these lifelike characters and the loss that they go through is very easy to do because they look real. And if you stick those characters in this very realistic setting, it often makes you forget that it's a video game at sometimes. It was kind of obvious that the game just didn't give any fucks about main characters, but not for the reason that you're probably thinking of. It's not like the characters weren't fleshed out or because they were written poorly or anything. It's because the devs kind of made this game so real. When you think about it, not just think for 1 second, does real life really care if the main people in your life die? No. Shit happens, events transpire, butterfly effects spiral everything out of control, decisions the characters make actually mean something, and they change the course of the rest of the campaign drastically, no matter how big or how small they are. And I'm assuming, since you're still listening to this video, you don't mind spoilers whether you played it yourself or maybe you just don't care, but I just wanted to bring a little checkpoint right here that, yes, this is going to be completely spoiler-filled, as I said before. So, Joel, Jesse, Owen, Manny, Mel, Yara, like, none of those characters get a hall pass, not even the dog or the horse that you ride. It's really cool how the devs made you hate the wolves in the beginning, but as you played Abby's side of the story, like, these characters are more fleshed out and you start feeling bad that you killed them, because when you played as Ellie, you had no context, right? All you know is you want to kill them for what they did to Joel, so you do just that as you go around and start rampaging and killing everybody. But then things start to become a little more complicated when you play it into Abby's story. You start to feel for these characters just a little bit, that you just killed in the previous campaign. And to be honest, I didn't really care for the parts where you played as Abby. I mean, I understand why that's a major part of the game. It's half of the game. But Abby as a character wasn't very likable to me. The only relevancy she has in the story is, of course, being the one who kills Joel, because Joel killed her dad in the last game. But I just didn't click with Abby like I was supposed to. Like, the game was trying to make me play as Abby so that I could feel bad for her and feel like what she did to Joel was justified. And I appreciate that they did that, because you'll see at the end of the game, everything's going to make sense at the end of the game. And it was kind of cool to dive into her character. She has kind of like a completely different adventure than Ellie has. Ellie's half of the story is a selfish revenge story, where she's just going and killing everybody no matter the cost, and she doesn't really give a shit. She's just going and killing everybody who was involved in Joel's death. But Abby's story was kind of selfless. I don't know, like, she's just not really a good character to me. I didn't really like her as much as I probably was trying to be made to. Like, because what do we find out about her, right? She's a bodybuilder. She's in a love triangle with Owen and Mel. She's conflicted on her stance against the Scars while trying to help two of these rogue Scars. You know, they're just kids and they're trying to run away and get away from everything, and she's afraid of heights. But I didn't really ask for all that, you know? Ellie's parts were really good. It felt Assassin's Creed-like, going from place to place, taking out these people, even going as far as to chart them on a map and make a roadmap of what she's going to do next. Really cool, right? And Ellie also gets the shit kicked out of her a bunch, and there's a lot of failing and regrouping that she has to do and self-reflection that she has to do. You actually see her on one part take her shirt off to get patched up, and you can see her back, and she's got slashes and scars all over her body. She starts crying and breaking down when Dina is like trying to patch her up because she doesn't want to lose any more people, but she knows she has to do this. They really did Ellie right in this game, because she starts off with so much rage, going absolutely crazy, doesn't give a fuck, just starts killing everybody for the first half of the story. But then after she fights Abby in the theater, it wasn't really a fight, it was more like a complete blowout. She becomes traumatized and has PTSD of everything because they do a time jump, maybe like a year or so later after Dina has the baby, and she realizes that, you know, with all this PTSD and stuff that's going on, you know, Ellie has everything that she wants. She has a peaceful life. She has a normal life. She has a family, but she still cannot let this go. She still feels like she needs to finish Abby off, because really, Abby's the only one left. So even though Abby let her, Tommy, and Danny go, she still feels like she needs that closure, and that's very human of her, and it's relatable. And finally, as she's about to get what she wants, she's drowning Abby near the pillars, she realizes she needs to forgive and let go because of a conversation that her and Joel had in a flashback you'll see at the end of the game. The standoff at the end was fucking awesome. These two women just completely battered. I mean, you see Abby, she was put on the pillars. She was, I guess she was starved or something, because she isn't as big as she was before. She was a slave or something like that. And Ellie was all cut up. I mean, you'll see in one part of the story, she actually gets impaled by like a tree branch or something when she gets caught in a trap, and she's really hurt. She's bleeding out. But these two women are just still fighting, and they're still giving all they have just to kill each other. And of course, Abby doesn't want to, but Ellie's like, no, you're going to fight me, or I'm going to do some bad shit to live. I feel like if we didn't get this context with Abby's campaign, we wouldn't have cared, and we would have wanted to kill Abby as Ellie, but we needed it so we wouldn't feel cheated when Ellie let her go. But Abby really wasn't a monster when you think about it. Yes, she killed Joel, and Joel is like one of the most beloved characters in video game history just because of the first game. There was so much shit in the first game, you know, so much bonding between him and Ellie, and we were really like destroyed really when she just completely offed him at the beginning of the game, and that's what really made us so pissed and wanted to go after her. And that's why a lot of people are angry that we get to play as Abby, because no one gives a shit about playing as a character, no matter how good or bad her intentions were. Doesn't matter if she was a monster and just wanted to kill everything and everyone in sight, or if she was just trying to avenge her own father. It doesn't really matter to some gamers, and at first it didn't matter to me because, You killed Joel. Like, who the fuck cares who Joel killed in the last game? He killed a lot of people in the last game, and you're gonna make us play as the person who killed one of our favorite characters. That doesn't sit right with a lot of players, and I understand that. But when you think about it, like, the game was trying to tell a story, and the game was trying to tell that Ellie and Abby are kind of one and the same. So when you think about it, Abby was just trying to avenge her father for what Joel did. Okay, and then Ellie tries to do the same exact thing for what Abby did. She's trying to avenge her father figure, and so neither one of them is better than the other. It was kind of heartbreaking, though, to see that Ellie and Joel were on the brink of coming together again and moving past the shit from the last game, because obviously Ellie finds out that Joel killed everybody in the hospital, and then a day later, he's killed, and Ellie feels like she has to make up for that by killing the wolves, because they both never really were on good terms after the hospital thing. And that's what sucks the most. There's no closure between the two of them, and that was intentional, I think, because once again, it's very lifelike. The world doesn't care if all your previous problems are solved. Shit's gonna happen regardless. The story was very, surprisingly inclusive as well. You see that Ellie is, of course, a lesbian, and we knew that from the first game. And we find out that Lev, one of the scars that Abby is with, the ex-scar or whatever, the fugitives, he is a transgender male, and that's why he's being hunted down by the scars. It was very cool to have this diversity, because the norm of storytelling, at least in this day and age, whether it be movies or video games or anything, is to try to stay as safe as possible. Don't touch religion, sexuality, politics, because obviously it might dissuade people from buying your product because of differing opinions, but I often feel like because of that, most games don't really capture the true realistic essence that The Last of Us 2 has. Transgender people, various sexualities, religions, beliefs, they all exist in the world, and Lev being a trans male is a legitimate reason as to why these super primitive, old-way thinking cultists want to hunt them down, and thus tangling Abby up in this kind of like redemption arc that she has to go through to kind of make up for the fact that she'd like completely off Joel. And of course, Ellie and Danny catch shit for being gay in the game, and it shows that even in this time where zombie-like creatures have taken over the world and none of that shit matters anymore, but at least for some people, there's still room for hatred like that. And as far as the ending goes, it made me really fucking bummed out. But you know this game wasn't going to have a happy ending at all, because Ellie goes on a last mission to kill Abby, doesn't go through with it, comes back home only for Danny and the baby to have already packed up their shit, and they leave. It was almost like it was all for nothing, and, you know, because like I said before, Ellie had everything she wanted, a family, a normal life, safety, but she just had to go after Abby one more time out of guilt, and it pretty much cost her everything. So like I said, the game is tragic, it's fucking sad, and I respect that a lot, because it's not like The Last Jedi where the director had some ballsy moves, but it fucked everything up and the continuity was screwed. But the devs put a lot of work into this game story-wise, and even though the ending wasn't super satisfying or heroic, I definitely liked it a lot. I just really wish we didn't focus so much on Abby, because that could have been summed up in, like, little to no time. We could have gotten the gist with Abby. We didn't need to spend 3 days where you play as her. It could, like I said, it could have been summed up, and I wish we got more time as Ellie and to see her grieving over Joel a little bit more. But other than that, I really did like it. I hope Naughty Dog is planning on making a part 3 or something, you know, because I really want to keep following Ellie's story, whether she goes after Dina or does something else. But, yeah, I think the main problem that people have with this game is the fact that you see this character, this completely new character, come in, and, you know, it doesn't matter if Abby's a bodybuilder, right? Doesn't matter if she is in a love triangle. Doesn't matter if she's afraid of heights. It doesn't matter if she redeems herself at the end by going against the wolves and saving 2 scars that really have nothing to do with anything, and going against protocol and stuff and becoming her own character. It doesn't matter, because people saw her take a golf club and smash Joel's face in. The dude that we played with throughout the entire first game. And all of that character building, all of that bonding that Ellie and Joel had together was kind of for nothing. And not only that, do you just kind of wash away this character, and I didn't mind Joel dying. I was expecting him to die. But just the way that you do it, and then you make us go through this really badass, you know, revenge thing with Ellie, and we're going and killing everybody, but then when we get to the last person, Abby, we switch sides and we start playing as her. and then we go from day 1 again to day 2 to day 3. And it's just a half of a game that I was just sitting there like, I don't really care about Abby. I mean, the other characters, they're really cool to see. Mel being pregnant, Owen and Abby in this love triangle thing. Manny was pretty funny. Danny, fuck that guy. But, and Alice, I didn't realize that we killed Alice as Ellie. I was a little bit sad about that. But I didn't really care about Abby's character until maybe the last couple of hours as playing as Abby. And I think that's what they were trying to do. They were trying to make it so that we're sitting there like, what the fuck? Why are we playing as this character? And then we go through her campaign, and then we start caring a little bit more about her, so that when Ellie and Abby finally fight, you don't want either of them to die. But I guess all of these things is why I can't really review the game like how I would normally review things, with going over gameplay, going over story, and then coming up with an overall rating, and then just leaving it at that. And I mean, the numbers on my end really mean nothing. It's just my opinion. But I can't review this game how I would normally do it, because if you want to just go based solely on the gameplay, the stealth stuff, the platforming, the collectibles, the kind of open world shit that you get at the very beginning, and the graphics, and I mean, if you take into account everything except for the story, this game would get like a 10 out of 10, because it is just so good. The game is fun, but the story is very controversial, and I like the story personally, but I'm not going to give a professional review or rating story-wise, because it's going to be different for every single person. The game is very controversial, and it does a lot of things that people are going to hate, and that was the point. You know, because like I said before, real life doesn't give a shit if the most important character in your book dies. Because when we think about it, like Glenn in The Walking Dead, Glenn was one of my favorite characters, and he just gets completely destroyed. But did I hate The Walking Dead after that? No. The reason why I don't follow The Walking Dead anymore is a completely different reason, but I didn't stop watching and I didn't start hating on The Walking Dead as one of my favorite characters died. Just as we shouldn't just start hating on The Last of Us 2 because one of our favorite characters died. Yes, he went out in a shitty way, and he didn't deserve to die like that, but that was the point. We felt like we were cheated because he was one of our favorite characters, but that was the point. That was what they were trying to do. They were trying to make us angry at Abby, and then as we go through, halfway through, we stop, and they were trying to piss us off with this, what the fuck, why are we playing as Abby now? I don't care what Abby has gone through. But then we see what she goes through and what she has to do. It's a completely different story from Ellie's, and even though I wish we didn't play so much with Abby, it still did its job. It still let me feel the things that I needed to feel, and that, in my opinion, is a good game. That's a good story. But that's why I'm not going to be rating it as I usually do. It's going to differ. Opinions are going to be so diverse about this game, and by all means, just because, like I said before, just because we don't agree with everything that the story did doesn't mean it's a completely shit game. Yes, story is very important, but, I mean, just look at everything else that's in the game. If you don't like the story, that's fine. I personally do like the story. But just look at everything else that the game does. The detail, the dialogue was really good, the gameplay was awesome, you know. I really felt like this is a very good game. Now, do I agree with everything that they did? No. Do I think that they could have done things a little bit better? Yes. But that's the way it is. Because in the real world, circumstances and things could have been done better, right? Like, think, like, when you're looking back on your past and you think, oh, I should have done this. It should have been this way. You know, that's what this game was trying to do. It was trying to be very real and almost uncomfortably real at certain points, and that's what I really respect about this campaign. It didn't give any fucks, but not because it didn't care about the fans or what we were expecting for the last couple of years. It's just because this is the story that they're telling, and this has made Ellie as a character grow so much more from the first game. As, you know, the first game was, oh, she was trying to find she was immune and trying to find the cure and, you know, traveling with Joel, building as a character. But now it's like, who cares if she's immune, you know? That's not something that matters anymore. It's a revenge story, but sometimes you don't get your revenge. Sometimes you don't get the closure you need. That's what they were trying to do. But guys, I've been rambling about this game for 20 minutes now, and I just want to know what you guys think in the comments. And if you disagree with anything that I said, by all means, just disagree with me, and we'll have a discussion. You know, we'll try to be respectful of everybody's opinions, because this is a game that is going to make people feel differently, and everybody's opinions are justified, and everybody has a right to think about the game as they feel. But in my opinion, this was a great game. I liked it a lot, and I think the story was good. But guys, let me know what you think in the comments. Please like the video if you did, and if you, for whatever reason, didn't like the video, at least tell me why in the comments. You know, what I could have, maybe I'm not seeing something that you guys see for story-wise. But guys, thank you all for watching, and I'm going to see you guys on the next one.